to my channel. My name is Rachel Mayo, your personal astrologer. I am going to be discussing Synastry, relationship astrology. In this discussion, we're going to focus on the best synastry aspects for marriage. So what is synastry? We use synastry to compare the natal charts of two people. See how individual planets aspect the other person's planets in their own natal birth chart. They don't have to be in a romantic relationship, but if you are in a romantic relationship, it would be wise for you to get a synastry chart reading. And this is one of my specialities. So if you'd like to get a professional synastry chart reading, I suggest that you book a reading with me at rachel-mayo.com. You can also use synastry to evaluate a business relationship. A synastry chart reading will reveal the highest probability of how a relationship is likely to turn out. Is it going to work out? Is it a karmic relationship? Is it something you want to stay away from if you can avoid it? Or is this something that you should really dive into because it's promising a long-term relationship that could probably lead to marriage? You want to know all these things before you commit deeply into a relationship. The most important planets to look at when you're evaluating synastry are the Sun, the Moon, and of course Venus. But in astrology, everything is important. If you're watching this video and you're new to my channel and you have not yet subscribed, please hit subscribe, like this video, share this video on your social media platform. You just never know who needs to hear this message, and you'll be helping me grow my channel. Please comment under this video if you have any of these aspects with your partner. How did it work out for you? We would all like to know. Or you can just let us know where you're tuning in from. Commenting really helps push these videos to the algorithm, and this helps other people who are interested in astrology, in synastry, find these videos. So please comment below. Some of these aspects I'm going to discuss are aspects that I've actually made a whole video on. If you'd like to know more about a specific aspect, I suggest that you look into my playlist on synastry. I'm going to put this disclaimer out there. It doesn't mean that because you have one aspect that your relationship is guaranteed to last or to work out. Synastry needs to be evaluated as a whole entire chart, all the planets and all the aspects. So don't take one aspect that is definitely exact and working in your synastry chart with your partner and think that this is all you need. This is all you need to have a lasting relationship. Aspects to planets like the Sun and the Moon are the most important aspects for a relationship to occur. So the first aspect I'm going to discuss is Moon Sextile or Trine Moon. This is an aspect for true love. Moon compatibility is one of the most significant things that you need in synastry when it comes to aspects for a significant relationship. The moon shows your emotional nature, your needs, and your instincts. If your partner's moon forms a harmonious aspect to your moon, this is one of the best synastry aspects. It shows that you intuitively understand each other's emotional nature. There is an emotional connection. So there is a compatible love language and a balance between giving and taking. Sun conjunct Moon. This is a wonderful aspect to have in synastry. The Sun represents the masculine energy. The Moon represents the feminine energy. So there is a balance of these energies. This is indeed one of the best aspects to have in synastry. It is a foundation for a long-term relationship. So perhaps you have the Sun square the Moon. It's still an aspect. But it's a challenging aspect. This simply means that perhaps this relationship, the two of you are going to be challenged to achieve something in the area where the Sun and the Moon are squaring each other. You will find this aspect in a marriage where perhaps they also have a business working relationship together. Moon conjunct Moon. This is a wonderful aspect. I have this with my partner and my best friend. For some reason, I seem to attract Taurus moons. The moon is exalted in the sign of Taurus. The moon-to-moon aspect will attract people who you have a similar emotional nature, which makes living together so much easier because you'll find that you'll agree on a lot of things. How to decorate the house, what to cook for dinner, what time to get home. It's so easy for you to create a cozy and secure home. Soft aspects such as the trine and the sextile or the semi-sextile indicate an empathic bond between the individual. So the hard aspects, the squares, indicate that it will be difficult for you to it will be difficult for the two of you to sync emotionally. It will take more time for the two of you to adjust to each other on an emotional and instinctual level. So squares are not necessarily deal breakers. Of course, communication in a relationship is highly important. So soft aspects to Mercury are very beneficial because it will make communicating and getting along a lot easier. Mercury trine the Sun suggests mutual understanding and respect in a marriage. Moon and Mercury aspects bring harmony in a relationship. You can share your feelings with your partner without fear of judgment. And of course, we need sexual compatibility in a long-term relationship, otherwise it's not going to last a very long time. So this is where Mars and Venus aspects come in. Venus determines how you approach your relationships, love and romance, and also your values towards money. This is a strong indication of affection, passion, and attraction. Mars, however, indicates how you express your passionate side, your sex drive, how you take action, and how you go about getting what you want. Now, when it comes to these two, it doesn't matter whether it's a square aspect, a hard aspect, a conjunction, sextile, trine, semi-sextile, any aspect between these two planets is very beneficial in a marriage. Although that square aspect can tend to bring about a bit of aggression, or perhaps that is your love style language. However, couples with the soft aspects, the trine, the semi-sextile, they can learn to deal with their differences more easily and adapt to each other and adapt to each other's preferences or love language. The hard aspects bring a lot of passion, excitement, and perhaps some clashes which may lead to breakup and make-up sex. The Sun-Moon midpoint. This is really important because usually this point is triggered when the Sun-Moon midpoint is activated by a transit, a lunation, and an eclipse in the progress chart. It suggests major changes to the relationship. This is when you see the tables really turn. The South Node and the North Node are really important points in all of our charts. I love to see contacts to this point in Synastry because it clearly shows that the relationship is fated. You'll see changes in a relationship through the eclipses because eclipses happen close to the North Node or the South Node. Fated relationships tend to initiate around eclipse times. They also tend to end around eclipses. So it's also highly important to know which eclipse brought in your relationship. Because when that eclipse is triggered by transits, you're going to have changes in your relationship. I really like to see conjunctions to the North Node because this is where you're heading. This is the future. Conjunctions to the South Node are also favorable. However, they do say that whatever the planet that conjuncts your South Node indicates that whatever that planet represents is something that you've done and perhaps overdone in the past life. There is definitely a familiarity when you meet this person. You feel like you've known this person before you've known this person before in a past life. And for those who don't believe in past lives, it's going to feel like you knew this person in your childhood, or perhaps you went to school with them. They're just going to feel very comfortable and familiar. Aspects to the vertex. This is one of my most favorite because the vertex is an electric axis. It's a fated gateway, and when it's activated by a transit, it will bring in that fated destined partner or your twin flame soulmate, whatever you want to call them. The vertex reveals the soul's fated connection, regardless of whether they're karmic relationships or not. When this point is activated, someone enters into your life. Transits, eclipses, progressions to this point indicates when fated events will happen. And when you meet a person through an activation of your vertex, this is a type of relationship that changes your life. So if you're considering spending the rest of your life with your partner, make sure, check to see if you have vertex connections. These are very important and significant. Venus conjunct Jupiter. This is love at first sight and indicates a major love connection. You're just going to intuitively know that this is a special person. Venus indicates the wife in a man's chart, and Jupiter indicates the husband in a woman's chart. This is in Vedic astrology. Most people think it's Venus and Mars. It can be, depending on the karma you came to live out in this lifetime. Just keep in mind that the Venus-Mars connection is the husband who's the bad boy husband. So if your karma is to attract a bad boy husband, then Venus-Mars will serve as then Venus Mars will serve as the wife and husband. But if you want that ideal husband, then you have to look for Venus and Jupiter conjunctions. Some people start out with a Venus Mars husband, and through that experience they become wiser and opt for a Venus Jupiter husband. So what do you have in your synastry? One of the aspects that you really need in order to have a long-term relationship is contact from Saturn to your Venus or your Sun. I love to see this in a relationship because it kind of gives that longevity, almost as a seal of approval, a guarantee that the Saturn person is really in the relationship for a long haul. So for longevity, look for Saturn aspects to personal planets. Saturn aspects to personal planets is the glue of the relationship. The aspect which really brings stability to a relationship is aspects between Saturn and Jupiter. I prefer the trine aspects or the sextile aspects, the harmonious, softer aspects. Jupiter will deal with your morals and Saturn will deal with the control. So Saturn keeps a watch over Jupiter, perhaps not expanding those negative morals that need for Jupiter to always feel good. It will help the Jupiter person exercise some restraint because of Saturn. You know, Saturn brings boundaries and it wants tradition. It wants respect. You need this in a marriage. So basically, Saturn is keeping Jupiter from overexpanding, overindulgence, or perhaps just overdoing whatever it is that Jupiter represents in the other person's chart, or whatever planet Jupiter is conjunct with or aspecting, and therefore expanding that action in that person's chart. So the Saturn person is the person that tells you, hey, you're going overboard, you're breaking the rules of the marriage, stay within the agreement, honor the agreement. The other thing I love to see in synastry is planets in each other's 7th house. The 7th house is after all the house of marriage, commitment, and partnership. The 8th house is the house of intimacy, so having each other's planets, personal planets most preferably, in each other's 8th house also indicates that there will be a deep, intimate bond, and you're probably going to share finances. You're comfortable with bonding with each other on a deep soul level. This indicates a very karmic and fated connection. Planets in each other's 5th house is also fantastic because the 5th house is, after all, where the romance begins. It's the house of dating. It's a house of fun, joy, our children. Planets in each other's 5th house also indicates that it's very likely that you will have children together. I also love to see aspects to asteroid Juno. Juno is, after all, the asteroid of marriage, romance, and commitment. Juno aspects in synastry can show if a relationship is supposed to turn into something serious. I personally love to see Juno and Venus aspects, or Juno and Jupiter aspects. In Roman mythology, Juno was Jupiter's wife. She's considered the protector of women and the family tree. So harmonious aspects like trines, sextiles are among the best aspects for marriage. The other asteroid I love to see harmonious aspects to is Chiron, the wounded healer. This is an asteroid that shows where we're all wounded, and we enter into relationships most of the time to be healed from our wounds or to be comforted. We want somebody who understands our pain. So harmonious aspects to Chiron are very important. Chiron is also one of the asteroids that will destroy perfect synastry. Challenging aspects like squares or oppositions to Chiron are aspects that can destroy perfect synastry. This could be in a situation where you hear two people who you thought were the best couple, and then you find out that he was cheating on her with her best friend. So this is why you can't really be your own astrologer, because you don't know what negative aspects are hitting that perfect aspect that you think is the one that will bring this relationship together and give this relationship longevity. So it's really important to know how that particular aspect that you have is being aspected by other planets. And most of all, it's important to find out what your composite chart looks like. Your composite chart is the combination of the midpoints of the synastry into one chart, which you can use to find out transits. It becomes an independent chart. You can also see progressions of your relationship through a progress chart. So transits to these charts are very important. They will show you the changes and stages in your relationship, how your relationship is going to progress over the years. Another important thing I look for is contacts to the angles. So if your partner has planets conjunct your ascendant, your descendant, your midheaven, or your IC, those also indicate a fated relationship. So if you'd like to evaluate your synastry, your composite chart, your progress composite, I suggest that you book a reading with me at rachel-mayo.com. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video.